design procedure for turbines. Okay. If you look at the design procedure, let's start with the impulse turbine. Look at the impulse turbine. Certain amount of data. See, when I try to design means what actually I'll be having certain parameters, and certain parameters has to be calculated and verified, and then able to tell that yes, my design is safe or not. All those things we have to look at. Now, when I speak of impulse turbine, so what are the data you may need? So data required. What is it actually? The output from we call it as generator, which is different from your shaft actually. This is different from shaft output or shaft power, because shaft power output is from the output from the turbine, and we do have some kind of generator efficiency, all those things which takes into consideration, and we look at the output from the generator. Next, when we have this turbine, so speed becomes very important. Speed of the turbine becomes very important. Okay, then the operating pressure and temperatures. Operating pressures and temperatures with usually at inlet. So usually we will be having either atmospheric pressure and atmospheric temperature. Okay. Then the most important thing is the back pressure or at the exit pressure. We call it the exit pressure, because this clearly tell me what is my operating pressure. So you have inlet pressure, then it has to rise to a particular pressure in the boiler, then it has to expand. So all these parameters clearly define. See, from the inlet pressure to what pressure I am supposed to raise the steam. So now, once you know this, some of these parameters, couple of parameters required, whether you take for impulse turbine or a reaction turbine, whatever may be the turbine, certain amount of parameters are remains constant. Now, once you have this, we need to calculate some of the parameters. We need to calculate some of the parameters. What are those actually? So, if I know the pressures, that is the pressure entry to the turbine, the pressure exit to the turbine. Okay, pressure entry to the turbine or pressure exit to the turbine. So that is your, if you call that as P0, P1, or you can, if you want, you can go with P1, P1 also, doesn't matter. Okay, now once I know that, what I'll be getting actually, I'll be getting the enthalpy drop or the heat drop. Heat drop, that is in terms of the enthalpy change. This is mainly because between your inlet to your exit pressure. If I call this as P2, this as P1. So if I know my P1, if I know my P2, so I can directly get it from your corresponding steam tables, or it depends if I know P1 and T1. That is your steam inlet pressure, steam inlet temperature, and steam exit pressure. When your temperatures are not doesn't have that much of importance at the exit, but at the inlet it plays a lot of importance, because that will give rise to what is called as a reheat factor. Already we have seen. Okay. Once we have this actually, then there are certain things which we need to look at. This is heat drop, which may be ideal, isentropic. Okay. Now we look into what is called as losses. Okay, this losses may be depending upon, this may be your the pressure loss. Roughly if you look at, actually this pressure loss will be around 2 to 5%. Okay, So because of this, what will happen? My work output is reduced. Work output reduces. Okay. Now, when you have all those things, now based upon this, actually, if I try to consider different efficiencies. So if I try to, so we try to calculate based on some amount of efficiency, the efficiency, some of the efficiencies. So what are the efficiencies we try to consider? So some of the efficiencies, it can be the internal efficiency, your mechanical efficiency, your generator efficiency. After all this efficiency, with something in your mind, we will lead to what is called as what should be the mass flow rate required to generate the output power. That is your generator output power. So that I call it as what is the output of the generator. Now, what is this actually? This is your isentropic, which is ideal, which is heat drop from the first calculation. Then all your efficiencies, all your mechanical efficiencies and your generator efficiencies. So mass flow rate into all those things, I'll be getting my generator power, which may be less, because if I remove the generator efficiency, I'll be getting my shaft power. If I remove my mechanical efficiency, that particular, if I do that, I'll be getting the rotor power. Then the internal efficiency depending upon your fluid flow or rate factor, all those things, or depending upon the number of stages. So one is with respect to the fluid, other is with respect to the components, other is with respect to the generator. Okay, this is one particular thing. Once I know the mass flow rate, all those things we can calculate. This is with respect to the mass flow rate m dot. Now, sometimes I need to calculate the, see if I know the actual enthalpy drop, that is, if I know the actual enthalpy drop, from that I can calculate the velocity of the nozzle, that is, velocity of the steam at rotor inlet, at rotor blade inlet or nozzle exit, whatever it will be same, assuming the losses are not there. So what will happen? So if I call that as V1, already we know it is 44.72 divided by delta H isentropic, it is ideal. Okay, if I multiply by some factor, that is your efficiency, it is 0.9 conversion, or we call it as nozzle efficiency, then I'll be getting what is called as actual velocity. Okay, then once you know this, I need to consider the fluid inlet angle, or we call it as flow angle. The flow angle, which is alpha 1 at the inlet, has to be calculated, has to be assumed. See, if I want to change, so this usually, this number should not be more than 22 degrees or 20 degrees roughly. So usually this number will be at between 14 to around 22 degrees. So 22 degrees. It can't be 30 degrees, it can't be 40 degrees, because it has to strike. See, I should be able to cover, for a shock flow entry, this angle should be less than around 20-22. So 15 degrees. So once you have all those things, so I will start with 14, 15. So this is something like a design iteration. You can write a program for this. If I go with the 14, what will happen? If I go with the 15, what will happen? I can do the calculations using my Excel sheet. So that's how the design will go. Now once you have this, anyhow, you have your blade efficiency. You can calculate your inter. So I told that, see, this internal efficiency, I can easily calculate. This internal efficiency depends upon, you have your vane efficiency or blade efficiency minus, there are certain losses. See, you have the losses between the blade or whatever it may be, divided by your B1 square by 2. If I do that, I'll be able to getting internal efficiency. So all are interrelated, and we try to go with some number, and it's an iterative process. Okay. Once you have this, we have to plot certain things. So we have to plot certain things. Already we know that. What are those actually? Efficiency versus phi. So we will try to plot, okay, efficiency versus phi. Okay, what is phi actually? We all know that phi is equal to u by v1. Okay. Now, is it possible for me? See, what we will be getting actually, I may get something like this. I may be getting a maximum efficiency and an optimum phi. So this will be phi optimal. This will be efficiency maximum. So for that particular, see, for that particular flow angle, for that velocity will be. So I'll be do for different speeds, different conditions I'll try to do. So I'll be able to get the, so if I run the turbine at 4500 RPM, this is the optimal I'm going to get. If I run the turbine at 3600 RPM, then I can tell. So if I want to run, if this is the power I need to develop, so there should be a range of speed this turbine can work. So 3500 to 3800 RPM, any number between that, the power production will be 10 to 10.5 kilowatts like that. So I can get that ballpark number under which I can generate the power under this particular speed. This all comes from your maybe over a period of time, or what we can call it as iterations actually. Okay, a detailed design, a complete detailed design of, okay, a stages, and then we'll try to put the velocity triangles. See, once you have this actually, what we try to do is actually we will move towards stage velocity triangles, drawing stage velocity triangles. Okay, and from this actually I will try to calculate, see, from the stage velocity triangles I'll be able to get what is called as, we have the reheat factor. Try to build a reheat factor relationship with respect to your internal efficiency, then with respect to your stage efficiency. They're all related with respect to, once I have the stage velocity triangle, stage velocity is something like I go in one direction, I'll come back with the same, because the reheat factor depends on your condition of the steam depending upon your P1 and T1. Okay. Now, once I do this actually, what I will do actually, I will repeat. I'll recalculate. What I will do, I will recalculate, recalculate everything. Recalculated, that is iteration, until unless I get what is my desired values. This is one thing. And I need to see for all those things, this is with respect to the power requirement. I don't have any control over the aerodynamic shape of the blade. That is a different thing. This is only with respect to this procedure, whatever I explained, this is only with respect to what should be your enthalpy drop, what should be your mass flow rate, what should be your inlet velocity, what should be my internal efficiency, what can be my mechanical efficiency, all those things calculated, plotted, iterated. If it's a single stage impulse steam turbine. There are certain packages have come, software packages come, maybe CFD packages, and just like your turbo grid or CFX, all those things, they come with some kind of preconditions where you just plug in some numbers, automatically they will be able to design it, and they will throw what will be your outputs. They will give some pressure plots, pressure contours, your velocity contours, or velocity vector contours. All the things will come as an output, and it will give, this will be the efficiency. With that particular thing, I can calculate the different parameters. This is one type of, this one kind of. So what will happen if it go for a multi-stage? This is for a single stage. What I have to do for multi-stage, if I go for a multi-stage, the things are going to change. So if I go for, say for example, if I go for a two-stage, let's go for a two-stage, or if it is a multi-stage impulse turbine. Okay. Now, when I come to the multi-stage impulse turbine, all the things whatever I did for your single stage impulse turbine remains same. Till say for example, calculating your power requirement, calculating your say taking your speed, internal efficiency or mass flow rate, V1, everything will be the same. Now here we used to plot phi efficiency versus phi. That's going to change here. Now, what we do here actually, we try to get this phi values. See, once I have this, so what let me write. So from let me call it as 1 to 6 steps 1 to 6 remains same. Okay. Once you have this, what are the next step I'm going to do? Let me call that as 7. I will assume the value of phi. See, the value of phi which is u by v1 is assume, and this value I think it has to be between 0.1 to around 0.3 or 0.35. So what we do actually, we assume 0.1, 0.12. So two values this side for iterations. I'm looking at iterations. For on lower side, we'll try to assume one or two values. Maybe on higher rates, I will try to take 0.28 or 0.27 like that I'm going to do. Then I'll do the iterations. So around 4 to 5 different values. So I will take it and will try to do that. Then from this, you'll be getting what is called as your blade efficiency. What is your blade efficiency? Already we know this. Even the blade efficiency remain the same. Even for your the same. So blade efficiency is given by, okay, blade efficiency is given by your VW1 plus VW2, okay, into U divided by V1 square by 2. This is for a single stage. Same thing over Vn efficiency or blade efficiency, whatever we have. Yeah, blade efficiency or Vn efficiency. This is the thing. Yeah, this is the thing. This is the blade efficiency or Vn efficiency. What I have. Now, if there are multiple stages, what I would do actually, if it is for, this is for a single stage. If it is for a multiple stage, what I will do, I will add up everything. What I will do actually, I will sum up everything, that is VW1 plus VW2, okay, into U. I will sum up everything divided by V1 square by 2. So this is for multi-stage. So let me stop putting 1 and 2. What I will call? So I will call I and J, so that I and J. So I from 0 to I is equal to from 0, J is equal to 0, and your I will be up to n stages, J also is equal to n stages. If it is 2 stages, it will be V1, VW1 plus VW2. Okay. Then your, if it is, then your VW3 plus VW4 like that. So depending upon your I and J, I'm going to add it everything. So that will be my your blade efficiency. Once I have this blade efficiency, I can calculate the internal efficiency. So which is the same formula. That is internal efficiency equal to blade efficiency minus your losses. Losses corresponding to your kinetic energy. Okay. Once you have this, so from this, so the ninth step, calculate the internal efficiency. Calculate the internal efficiency using this formula, that is minus your losses, that is power losses, divided by your input kinetic energy. So this becomes critical for me. Why? Because I'm going for more and more stages. So once you have this particular thing, I will repeat the same procedure, that is, so do for plot of same procedure, that is your efficiency versus phi. I'll plot it and I'll try to get the same thing. This is for the given stage. So I'll be getting the the max efficiency internal, and I'll be getting the pi optimal. The same procedure whatever I did for your single stage, I will do it for your multi-stage also. Okay. Now, blade efficiency, we have other formula also where we can calculate using your isentropic, where MCP into delta T, using that also we can calculate. Okay. Now, internal efficiency, blade efficiency can be calculated using your velocity components or your enthalpy. So, your, let me write that also, your blade and internal efficiency can also be calculated using enthalpy changes. Enthalpy changes. Now, once you have this, so the procedure, next set of procedure is you will be getting the what is called as a stage efficiency. So then find the what type of this thing. So remaining procedure remain the same. That is, go back and draw the velocity triangles. So multi-stage, 3 stages means I will be having a 3 set of velocity triangles. So based on your inlet, that is reheat factor, your internal efficiency, stage efficiency, the same thing. So you'll go back and based on your this thing, iterations is iterations, you calculate the reheat factor, your internal efficiency, your stage efficiency, and until and you get the optimal value, even mass flow rate also same thing. Whatever you did, everything is repeated again and again. I can use a package, CFD software package, or I can use the manual calculations using the Excel file. So all those things I can use it and I can find the design the, maybe it can be a 2 stage or 3 stage impulse turbine. Which is going to change with respect to impulse reaction turbine? Yes, because there we look at the pressure changes. See, what are the major difference between your impulse design and your reaction design is, here we look at only the enthalpy drops and velocities. But when you go to impulse reaction, it's both enthalpies as well as your pressure drops also has to be considered. So when you have the both, actually your wheel diameter becomes critical for me. If you look at, say for example, most of the impulse machines, if you look at it, the length or the diameter of the maybe 1 meter or 0.5 meter or zero 0.8 meters. So this will be my critical thing, and this criticality also depends on what is your striking angle, that is your flow angle, and also your what is your height, or what should be your what we call it as a width of the blade. What should be your width of the blade, and your density of the steam entering. What is the specific velocity of the, or the what we call it as density of the or you can call it as density as well as specific volume. So both the factors, lot of factors are there which are very important, and also your speed ratio. Not only this thing, speed ratio, U by V1. So speed ratio also becomes critical when you go for impulse reaction turbines. Okay, let's look into this. Is about your impulse 2 stage or multi-stage, whatever it may be. If I go for the third one, which is impulse reaction turbines, impulse reaction turbines, what we do actually, we try to do the same thing. What is actually the first thing? We try to calculate your isentropic enthalpy drop between your inlet pressure to your exit pressure. Same thing, whatever you did for single stage or multi-stage your impulse turbine, repeat the same. Second thing, now here your delta P, the pressure loss. So the pressure loss will be around 2 to 5% of your P1. So this will lead to what is called as, I'll be getting your delta H actual heat drop. The same thing. The third step, you take your internal efficiency, your mechanical efficiency, your generator efficiency, all the things are obtained. So the same thing as we did for your impulse turbine. The mass flow rate m dot is equal to your P generator divided by your delta H isentropic multiplied by your internal efficiency, your mechanical efficiency, and your generator. So whatever we did for the impulse case, same thing will go here. Now, why with one extra parameter we have to notice? That extra parameter is the diameter of the stage. So diameter of the stage of the diameter of the first stage or whatever it may be. We call it as, so if we will go by first stage, second stage. So the wheel diameter, we call it as wheel diameter of the first stage. Okay. If I look at the wheel diameter of the first stage, how we can calculate? If this is nothing but your d1 square, it depends on your mass flow rate and depends on your width actually. So you have the height of the blades. So if I call that as h, so if I look into that, so here what are the parameters which we play? It is something like how this is calculated. You have your u is equal to pi d n by 60. Fine, you have your u is equal to pi d n by 60. Now how you want to calculate that your area? So area depends on, see, you have your discharge, which is q is equal to your area into v. Okay, now what is the relationship between u and v? You have what is called as phi. So phi is equal to u by v. I will try to substitute your, so this is your flow velocity, area of the flow. So what is your area of the flow? It is pi by, so you have that particular thing. You have your pi square, pi by 4, pi by 4 into that diameter square into that length. Okay, so you have that, see, it is something like you have your diameter. So what is there in the side view? The side view, you have your this length. Say if this is inclined at this particular thing, so you have your alpha. If I call this as L or whatever it may be. So what will be the length of this particular thing? It is L sine alpha. So now if I look into that actually, if I look into that, my formula for your d1 square will be, so 60 into your mass flow rate into the phi into your specific volume divided by pi square into L sine alpha or L1. This is the inlet, they call it as L sine alpha into L. If I take the square root of it, I'll be getting the d1. That's it. If I take this directly the square root of it, I'll be getting it. Now, what will be the value of L1? See, L1, that is your width. This will be between our 20 to around 25 millimeters. For large capacity, this is for small capacities, that is small capacities turbines. If for the large capacity turbines, this L1 will be between, it's greater than 35. So 35 to around 40 mm for large capacity. For large L1 should not be, see, it should be between around 35, between 35 and 40, 35 to 40. And what will be the value of phi? See, phi value for impulse machine, this will be low. But of impulse reaction machines, this will be around 0.55 to around 0.8 and 82. And what about the alpha? Alpha will be, alpha, your upper limit around 22 degrees is fine. But the lower side, this number, instead of, you can't have a very low angle, this will be around 16 or 17 or 18 degrees. So I can go with around 18 to 22 degrees. Your alpha can be between 18 to 22 degrees. Your speed ratio will be on the higher end compared to your impulse machine, around 0.55 to 0.8, and your L1 depending upon what type of machine. Depending upon what type of machines. Now, you have the D1 for the first stage. What about for the last stage? I'll be looking at your specific call. See, this is the for the first stage. What will be for the last stage? I can call it as D last stage. If it is third stage or whatever it may be, this will be okay. This will be. I'll be looking at what is called as your uh, flow ratio. Your velocity flow ratio comes into picture. Psi comes into picture. So psi as into root 2g h. And what is this actually? This is your V1. Okay. What is this actually? So I should not write that. So that particular thing is V1. That is your Vf has some impact with respect to V1. So I need to consider what is called as your flow ratio. That's one thing. And we have one more thing, what is called as your, that is a zeta, which is enthalpy drop. Actually, that is directly related to what is called as your enthalpy or your, what is the loss, which may be 2% or 3% of your enthalpy change. So psi will be a very big number. For a large capacity, it will be around 3, and for small capacity, this will be around 4 or 4.5. So depending upon that particular condition, so we have a ready-made formula. This is derived. This is something like you have your m dot into psi, your specific volume for the last stage. It can same formula can be used for subsequent stages also. Your pi into, this is for to calculate your V1. Okay, square root of your zeta was zeta for your enthalpy. That is your, I say, enthalpy drop into sine alpha. So this will be, see, what will be the value of psi? This is for small capacity. This is for large capacities. So large capacity can be for 4, sorry, this is for low, see, 3 is for large capacities and 6 is for small capacities. 3 is for large capacities and 6 is for small capacities. Now what will be the value of your zeta? Zeta will be between 1 to 1.15 or 1.2, and this is directly related to your enthalpy changes. Okay, the specific volume what we are going to take, no, this is V lost, this is your V actual, this is your V actual. We have to take the actual specific volume at the exit. So first stage, exit. Second stage, so second stage, see what enters, see what is the specific volume of the steam entering and what is the specific volume which is going out. I should be able to get that. Once you have all those things, there are certain parameters which we need to calculate. So those parameters can be your some of the angles. So what are those angles? So we need to look into some of the design data handbooks to calculate the height of the blade, height of the moving blade or fixed blade. There are certain standard expressions are there. From that we have to get it. And the diameter of the roughly, see if you look into that, this roughly the diameter of the last stage is roughly around 1.5 times your the diameter of the maybe the first stage. That means what's happening here actually, it is expanding. Why this is expanding? Because of the specific volume. What happens in case of a compressor? It is exactly opposite. It's exactly opposite to what's happening in your compressor. So here it is expanding, the pressure is expanding. So I should be able to have a diverging shape of the nozzles. Okay. Then we have the certain what we call it as scales used for volumes and heat drop. There are certain scales which should be considered when you're using the software. What are the typical things which we try to calculate? So one is, see, your pressure. The second one is your specific volume. The third one is the diameters. So these are some of the inputs which needs to be considered in calculating your or in calculating some of the design parameters for your impulse reaction steam turbines. Okay. Now, once you have this particular things actually, once you have all this design parameters and all, and if at any given point, if I want to calculate the axial thrust, at any given point, if I want to calculate the axial thrust, I should go with what is the corresponding forces acting on it. Okay, what will be the forces? What will be the forces acting on it? It is usually your flow force. At any given point, if I look at it, see you have the impulse reaction turbine. Uh, Vf minus Vf or delta Vf. So delta Vf, or that is the force acting in the axial. If it is for axial machines, if I look at it, it is the velocity difference in velocity in the axial direction multiplied by a corresponding mass flow rate. If I am able to do that, I'll be able to calculate the maybe the force which may be required to keep that turbine under stable conditions, and all the pressures and the corresponding temperatures need to be considered.